In this video, I will show you how to create an assignment where students will upload or submit some type of file. So you may have already seen the videos about creating quizzes, but not everything a student does is a quiz, is multiple choice or questions. Perhaps they're doing a project, they're writing a paper, they'll submit their presentation, or they may even videotape themselves and submit that as evidence that they've learned something. So to do that, that's still considered an assessment, even though it's not a quiz. So on your homepage, you do not need to go into any of your classes. You can go straight to your assessments item over here. And then you would like to create an assessment. Now, simple and advanced assessments are more like quizzes or tests, where you write questions and students answer questions. You would like here to use a rubric assessment, and we'll give it a name. This is your research paper. An assessment type only really matters if you're weighting different categories in your gradebook within Otus, and select a grading scale. This is where things get a little more complicated. The Marshall County Mastery Scale or the Marshall County Grading Scale is words. If you select this, there's no numbers, there's no percentages, and in your gradebook you will not be able to view this assignment. How did kids do on this paper? You can only view things broken down by standards. If you do points, now you have numbers, which I like as a math person, and percentages, and those numbers and percentages can then also be linked to standards and also be converted automatically to those words. Mastery exceeds mastery, whatever. But there is a little math trick that you have to watch out for if you're going to use points. So if you're not a math person, I would say just go straight with the Marshall County Grading Scale. If you're more mathy, points might be for you. The first thing I have to do is I have to design some type of rubric. Now, I find some of the terminology here to be a little strange. So when you are creating your rubric, you have a descriptor. Now, here's just an example rubric that I stole from the internet. I did not write this. So don't judge it if it's not any good. Or don't judge me, you can judge it, that's fine. But what you have here, normally if I'm doing a rubric, I think of it in terms of rows and columns because I'm a math person. But I would say, this row deals with quality of writing. Well, quality of writing would be your descriptor. Then I could give more information about, what that means here if I would like. You also have an option to link standards. So this whole row would be linked to a particular standard. Then as I come down here, I can put in my numbers. If you did not choose points, if you chose Marshall County Grading Scale, these descriptors are already filled out for you as, exceeds expectation, approaching expectation. If you are doing math and you did points, the only thing that you really need to be careful of is the automatic conversion. Because if I say 4, 3, 2, 1 here, well, a 3 out of 4 is a 75%. So that means I can only give someone kind of 100%, a 75%, a 50, etc. So you have to be careful. A better option would be to say more of 100, 85, 75, 50, because that covers all of your bases, A, B, C, F, and that matches to exceeds mastery, mastery, approaching mastery, limited mastery. Now, if you don't want it to be something that's out of 100 points, here's a math trick. You can make it out of 10 points if you throw in a decimal. And then, of course, you could type in kind of what your descriptions are. So here it would be things like the piece is written in extraordinary style and voice. All of this is one row of your rubric. So descriptor, boom, 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 boom. Once that is ready, you will add that row to your rubric. And I think this is kind of anticlimactic because when I press that button, it feels like nothing happens. Like even when I was recording the video, I was like, why did nothing happen? But now that row is part of your rubric and it's kind of hidden or compressed up there. So then you could come and do the next row and you would say, okay, the next row is grammar and usage. The nice thing is that the numbering was copied for you, and don't forget that you can link a standard and add that descriptor as well. And so again, when you press that, you think that didn't do anything. It really did. Those things are just compressed there. So I'm going to use just 2 rows for my rubric. And then if I wanted to attach a video Google Doc instructions, anything I want to attach just to give them more directions about what they are doing for this assignment. Now, once my rubric is created and it is ready to go, once I'm ready to assign this, I can press assign. Ooh, no, I can't. It's angry at me because I have this blank descriptor. So I'll use my melted snowman to delete that row. Yes, please. So now my rubric has 2 rows. I'm very happy with it. I'm ready to assign it. I can assign it to whatever class I would like. And then here's where you put your instructions about what students are going to do. So you will say, write a research paper. Once it's all said and done, you are ready to finally assign that. Now let me show you what this will look like to a student. When a student enters your class, they will go to Assessments. They will see this research paper assignment that I have given them. It screams at them because they can't attempt it more than once. They see your directions. They can see the entire rubric to see how they are being graded. It takes up a lot of space, so they can hide that rubric once they don't want to see it anymore. And then when a student is ready to submit their work, all they do is choose what file they are submitting to you. Now, I wish there was a feature where I could limit their options, so I could say they're only allowed to submit a Google Doc or they're only allowed to submit a video, but that is not a feature just yet, so you have to write good directions so they know exactly what they are to submit. But here they could do anything. They could actually videotape themselves right here. So if they're reading a book to you, working on fluency, they could attach their Google Doc they typed. They could upload a file from their computer. And they could just easily come grab anything that they have. And then they submit. So anytime that you would want a student to submit a file, you have to first build a rubric so that they can submit that. Your rubric could be simple. It can only have 1 row, and that would be acceptable. But you have to have a rubric assessment for them to be able to send you a file in Otus.